vandalism and looting. The doorbell. I went out and saw Kalashnikovs pointed at me. 9. This telescope was used to observe asteroids. By the way, asteroids not only of the so-called main belt, but asteroids that are potentially dangerous for the Earth, extremely valuable for science. Those were unique developments. They are still there, but funds are needed to make them again. Attacking the scientific facilities of our country, looting and destroying them, Russia showed the whole world the true essence and intentions of the so-called special military operation in Ukraine. Every day, new and new crimes committed by the invaders are revealed in the deoccupied territories. The news about the world's largest radio telescope at decameter wavelengths UTOR, too damaged by the Russian military, was spread in many domestic and foreign media, in various communities of social networks. Russian aggressors left terrible traces of their presence at Chuhuivi Observation Station of the Research Institute of Astronomy of VN Karazin Kharkiv, National University, and at the nearby observatory of the Institute of Radio Astronomy of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. I was more impressed by vandalism and looting. I mean that the people who were there didn't seem to understand the value of scientific equipment and science at all. They robbed, engaged in looting, smashed valuable and expensive scientific equipment, even stole something. The door to the room of the Meteor Patrol was taken off its hinges and they broke into there. Although the roof does not even have a lock, it could be moved with a finger on the wheels. There was a computer that controlled the telescope, all the electronics that controlled various GPS and other things that controlled the telescope. I made them myself, everything with my own hands. Everything was robbed. Here on this foundation, there was the telescope itself. It was small in size. It weighed approximately 40 kg. There is such a fact. Then we tried to find the remains of this equipment. Later we found some of the remnants of what we had at the observation station on online auctions in Russia. Some fragments, the parts of our equipment were sold there for nothing. A well-known institute in the world, the Institute of Radio Astronomy of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine in Kharkiv. They work successfully, do scientific research. Kharkiv radio astronomers are so-called owners of the largest, most powerful radio telescope in its class in the world. It means world-class research is underway. I saw it with my own eyes. It was something terrible for me. There were shells around. Everything was burnt. Everything was broken. Those terrible inscriptions on the door, left by the Rashists. Wagner or some Tuzik Muz. It is scary. And there is nothing, no equipment, nothing. Well, it's all falling apart now. It's very difficult for me. I probably remained. Well, Academician Kovalenko is older than me. And I am the second one who spent my entire scientific life at this telescope. Academician Alexander Kovalenko, who was working on an international project, witnessed how the Russian invaders entered the territory of the observatory. He is currently in Denmark. Having miraculously escaped from the occupiers, he crossed several borders to reach his family. Staying in a safe city, he continues to be actively engaged in science. We contacted him via Zoom. On 24 February, they started to bomb the airfield in Chuhuiv. Black smoke went in our direction. I realized that I had to stay and guard the observatory from marauders. During the following days, tank columns advanced. The observatory has the shape of a triangle. Columns of tanks advanced from all three sides of this triangle. The orcs knew it was a well-known object, not a military one. And therefore, until the middle of March, they did not see us and we did not see them. But the doorbell rang. I went out and saw Kalashnikovs pointed at me. 9. The first question. Do you have a weapon there? I said no, but they already knew that. But I was forced to make an excursion, where and what the things were. They looked at that equipment like monkeys. They did not know household appliances, what a water heater was. On the first floor, while I was there doing an excursion, several people, those orcs, searched the second floor. The commander made me write down his phone number. Call me, so to speak, in case it's needed. I certainly didn't call him. He did not ask any provocative questions. I knew what to answer. Moreover, I knew that I should answer carefully. For example, you should not say, I get here. There were such cases, I know. My colleagues from Kiev told me. They kill. The deputy director of the Institute of Semiconductors was killed for such words. You stay. Everything is quiet. Just don't tell anyone that we will live here with you. I said that I would not tell anyone, although the very next day I called to Kharkiv, because I understood that I had to run away from there. And surprisingly, I succeeded. I quietly sat down, took important papers, some scientific books, and left quietly. And well, the commander was not there at that time. He left for a neighboring village. They set up a military base there. It's not just that they want to live, and although there are only 24 sleeping places, there were about 50 of them there. But most importantly, they brought their artillery guns, grads, all weapons, tanks, everything they had. First of all, Chuhuiv and Kharkiv were shelled from our observatory.
In addition to our great astronomical achievements, we also have the consequences of war. We collected what the Russians left at this, so to speak, small exhibition, containers for grenades, for shells, etc. They left their food, small arms bullets in books, even in the books at the library. Our radiation receivers, CC cameras, are shown here. It is very expensive, very precise equipment. They worked for many years. They made it possible to observe various objects of the solar system, objects of the universe, and so on. Currently, they are crushed, broken. We are currently trying to find a replacement. We speak to foreign colleagues, funds about this problem.
We found shot expensive equipment from our telescopes, FRAPD cameras. They were like targets for them. This room was full from the window to the ceiling and all the way to the door. The door barely opened. They were buried. Everything was thrown here from all the rooms, Something was stolen, something was thrown from the entire building. The head has a piece of paper where it is written in beautiful handwriting. The proposal is to remove the junk from all the rooms to the rooms of so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. That's how it was written. Demolish junk. Regardless of whether it was valuable or worthless, they just threw it all here, threw it.
Now we are in the room that is a national property of Ukraine. This is the so-called optical coherent processor. In this room, samples of the lunar surface were studied. Now, as we can see, this equipment has been completely destroyed by Russian troops. A sleeping room must have been arranged here because there were a lot of pillows and mattresses. They just slept on the optical bench. No doubt we will restore it all.
How difficult is it to restore it all?
It is very difficult. It is not even so much difficult as it is expensive. Very large financial investments will be needed to restore our astronomical equipment. We mostly made that equipment ourselves. The equipment is unique. There is no equipment like this one in the world. It is done in the optical and mechanical workshops of our institute, our university. We were left without machines. This is our modern Baker-Schmidt telescope. In general, it was intended for observing deep space objects and planets, so-called exoplanets, in other star systems. This telescope was robbed of electronics. The observer's room, where the telescope control unit, as well as the computer equipment and internet equipment were located, everything was completely robbed. This telescope was used to observe asteroids. By the way, asteroids not only of the so-called main belt, but asteroids that are potentially dangerous for the Earth. At the beginning of March 2022, Russian troops came here. This territory was under occupation until September. When we first got here, we were of course shocked by what had happened here. This telescope was destroyed. All the precious and unique equipment that stood on this telescope was destroyed by shots. There is a reception and computing center here. There isn't a single computer, nothing left. The Russians left such signs, such inscriptions. There was a unique, very expensive reception equipment developed by us. There was no such equipment in the world. Especially computer one, no one needs it in everyday life. You can't use it in any way. If there is no intelligence, then harm, break. This is what our neighbors are, cruel Russians. And this is the uniform of the occupiers who came to liberate. That's all that's left of them, and what's left of this horror that you can see here that happened because of them. The first thing to do, immediately, as soon as possible, is demining. At least the electrical part of the wiring to the observatory. We cannot do anything without electricity. Next, it is necessary to find money, to find everything to make UTER 2 function. Next, it is very difficult and very expensive work to re-equip UTER 2 in a new way, and to continue the construction and restoration of our new HERT telescope. The tragedy committed by Russia touched all aspects of life. First of all, people die. It is the worst